everybody, it's an update video to my last video, Coil Driver, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a good addition to what I showed you before. And if my critics will just hear me out long enough for me to get this explanation out, then maybe they'll try it and stop giving me such a rash about things. But nonetheless, what I got going on here is pretty much the same thing in the previous video, with the exception is I'm using this 1 amp battery charger, and I'm using a capacitor, a couple capacitors in there, just some old AC capacitors. These things probably aren't even really good, they're just basically trash. But anyway, the capacitors are good enough to basically show what it is that I want to show. Also, I put in the video description of the last one a link to this circuit. I'm trying to get you a really good view of it. Alright, I put a link to this right here, and I'm still running it exactly like I did last time, just off the last two legs. And in the last video I happened to mention about the doggone relay in there going crazy when you hooked it direct. Well, all I had to do to resolve that issue was to put a capacitor in series with the high voltage output of this microwave oven transformer. I got another one off the same output of the high voltage going over to this capacitor, which in turn is run in series with this transformer right here that is going into that bulb. And both the bulb and the fan are connected. Basically, it's sitting on top of the wire. The cord is just sitting on there. That's how it's connected. But anyway, the key to what I was trying to show in the prior video was that with this little circuit right here, I was able to pulse this transformer, not one but two transformers, and those were running parallel. This is kind of a little bit different situation, and I'll show you why here in a second. But you know, when you pulse these primaries right here, all the secondaries looking for is a change in that magnetic flux. That's it. It's looking for, it don't care which direction it comes from, it's just looking for a change. Of course, I haven't even tried to run anything off the secondary, and I'm not even going to try to run anything off the secondary in this video, but I will show you that you can detect AC current with it. Anyway, the key to this whole deal is the eddy currents that would have been normally produced in this deal are insignificant. This transformer doesn't even remotely get warm after it's being run for a long time. The primary coil doesn't even get warm after it's been run for a long time, and most importantly is the transistors in this circuit right here aren't even getting warm after running for a long time. Now keep in mind, this isn't a whole lot of power we're talking about. It's just the fact that with this little circuit you're able to pulse that, and I believe that if it's done properly you'll get a better result. So with that said, I'm willing to share this with you because I think it's important. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and you'll see this light right here blinking intermittently, and you'll see that that electric motor will turn right there when I connect this. Alright, so right now got the electric motor turning, and I still believe this is a sodium bulb. I can't remember the exact brand anyway, but you can see there's a good, let me try to get you in there closer to it for a second. There's a good arc going on in there. Not even sure the wattage of this. I'll have to look on the bulb, but right now I'm really not concerned about all that. What I'm concerned about is the fact that this is even running at all. This circuit right here is not even getting hot. The relay, while the transformer's under load, is not freaking out. using the capacitors to pull the energy away from those transformers is the key. if you can get the energy that you want off of those transformers pulled away from that transformer so that it's not invoking Lenz's law to create that second field that comes back that begins to feed back in on the circuit and cause it to freak out because it's getting energy back to it, and it's trying to pull energy at the same time plus push all the power one direction, well, you know, you're overloading it. And so I'm trying to get to a point where I can show what I believe is going on with the transformers and how we're pulsing these transformers and why it is that a generator has to work so hard in order to be able to put out the power that you want to use on the other side. The key to anything is if you can get that energy completely away from that transformer, completely away from the generator that you're trying to pull the power off of, and don't allow that power to feed back into the system, then you don't get that super strong back EMF that's creating that second field that is causing the system to bog down. And so I got a wireless AC tester, and you'll see that I'm getting a AC field off of this core right here. I'm getting AC field off these wires over here, and I'm also getting an AC field off of this transformer right here. All I'm doing is taking, bringing that high voltage side right down into a capacitor and then in through this right here, and so that AC wave is still doing what it does normally. Doesn't matter whether it's in series or parallel, it's changing that field back and forth in that secondary right there. So you're getting an AC wave going through there. That's why that transformer's buzzing up like that. So there should be power coming off this secondary, but I'm not going to test the theory by touching any wires because I've already done that with the other one and it didn't feel good. But anyway, I think this is really important. And if you know, I'm going to stop this wire right here. You see how that bulb over there smooths out really good. And I think that if you had better capacitors, more storage space for the energy to move out, give that energy a place to go away from that transformer, that you'll get a more steady deal. See now how it's starting to try to catch back up over, it's blinking intermittently like I was talking about. Pull this off again, get some juice to that capacitor, and touch it back and see what happens. So pretty much these capacitors are junk. Let me try that again. I do not want to touch the wrong wire. I'm only going to make a liar out of me. Let it run there for a second. But anyway, it's not that we don't have enough energy. It's that we're not using it properly. We're not using it efficiently. And these little circuits, like I said, no matter how long I've ran them, those transistors aren't even hot. These primaries, not even hot, cool to the touch. The core, cool to the touch. Now keep in mind, I'm not drawing a whole lot of current through there, but I am running all of this that you're seeing right here. I'm running off of the doggone secondary. Look at that arc. So pretty much all it's about is guiding that energy where you want it to go. And let me shut this off for a second. I want to do something, but I don't want to get shocked in the process. Error. Okay, I'll turn it back on. I want to show you something. Okay, watch this. Look at that. there's some high voltage current going on there. It's pretty good arc. And that is the voltage that is running that fan right there. Now if I completely remove this light bulb from the circuit, then that fan will speed up and run better. But at this point in the game, I don't want to do that. I'm just interested in seeing where I can split this voltage and how well. Come on there. Alright. The longer this runs and the better these capacitors get charged up, the smoother that light over there will become. But either way, once again, you got an AC current going through this one right here. Pretty much, you can see it's pretty much the same strength. And it's being pulsed with this little circuit right here. So, at whatever frequency range that this particular circuit is running, this is the result I got. If you want to adjust the frequency to test different frequencies that this thing is capable of, I don't know how far the limits are up and down, but there's a little screw on that little block that I talked about in the other one. And I posted a link on the other video, as well as I will post the same link on this video right here to the same version of circuit board that I've got right here, and pretty good price on that. I found these for a little bit cheaper instead of the $6 like I was talking about. I actually found them for $4.89 a piece. So at $4.89, that little circuit is well worth the investment if you're interested in doing research in pulsing these coils. I believe that you could not only pulse transformers like this, but you could actually use these circuit boards to pulse electric motors as well. These, like I said, these primers, they don't care where that magnetic field comes from. And in the last video I showed you, I touched these two wires right down here. Look, my finger's right there on both of those wires. And I'm not getting the crud shocked out of myself. Alright, so that's telling me something, that that frequency right there is at a high enough frequency, and there's no you know, serious power coming out of that that would be even significant enough to run that motor. It's pulsing that coil though, and it's sending that flux through the transformer, and these transformers could actually be built to be so much more efficient than what they are right now. There's so many different ways to do that, and if you're interested in figuring out a ways to you know, modify these transformers like that, or even build custom transformers, jump on my radio show, well, my website SHAZIZZradio.com, and jump in the chat room and send me a message, because if you join me in there and listen to what I'm talking about, we can talk about and get together and work on stuff like this right here, to where we can make super efficient transformers. There's all kinds of potential there. And knowing that we can take this energy and get it as far away from this transformer and get it to the point where it's not even getting hot. There's obviously no major current draw coming from these transistors, otherwise they would be getting hot. It's not feeding back on it, otherwise it'd be getting hot, because the more current comes back this way, or tries to be, the harder this has to work, the more current this is going to want to draw. And you can see this is only a 1 amp battery charger. That means it's maximum 1 amp. Alright, and so that tells me that this circuit, I hadn't even looked at the specs to see what the actual draw of that is, but we know it's at least under 1 amp. And so if I can get this much power out of just 1 amp of current coming out of that doggone deal, I'm not sure of the actual wattage of this bulb right here, but just in the time that I've run it, it's already, you know, heating up. And if I left it just by itself without that fan going, it'd get a lot hotter. I wouldn't be able to touch it with my bare hands. You can see that plasma arc that's going on inside there. So there's definitely high voltage, and there's actually some current to it, because you saw what I did whenever I was touching those wires. There's actually current to it, and it's got enough current that it's actually running that fan. And when that thing gets equalized out a little bit, gets a little bit of, come on, get on there. Either way, you saw that bulb running at the same time when that fan was going. This capacitor probably ain't worth a darn, but nonetheless, you get a good capacitor bank, you get a good place for that energy to go. It might even be a case of a spark gap like that right there. I don't know. There's all kinds of potential. Just it's all in whether you want to do some research and do some testing on it. But if I'm getting this much power out of that little circuit right there, then I believe we can go a whole lot farther than what we're doing right now with this this deal. So it's worthy of me sharing this information with you. Now, I told you in that last video, if you use this circuit and you don't hear anything happening, don't test the theory to touch that wire there, which is off the high voltage side, and that core at the same time, because you just made a loop and it's going to hurt like heck. But what I was trying to say earlier, what I doggone forgot, this is running off of the secondary. So posting the primary, but this is running off the secondary, which is set up for high voltage. Alright, and it's putting out enough high voltage with a little bit of current that's able to run this little poorly made inefficient induction motor there. And it's able to, at some point when that doggone other capacitor gets a little bit of charge to it, at least run that light bulb intermittently. That's going to make a liar out of me. But you saw them, they were both on at the same time. Even if it was kind of blinking there for a minute, they were both on at the same time. But even at that, you got, because it's running through in series, it's still got to change because of that AC field going back and forth. There's still energy coming to that secondary right there. So it may be a case you could run a bunch of these in series, who knows? But there's only one way to find out, and that'd be to test it. So anyway, this is a pretty long video. It's already up over 17 minutes. The capacitor's key, because it's pulling energy away from that. It's storing up a little bit of power so that it can keep that running steady, and it's not causing, doggone it, that's going to drive me nuts. It's not causing that relay to freak out from draining too much. So that tells me if you can keep that power away from that doggone transformer, move it. Did you see that? Huh. Anyway. That was interesting. Yay. And so if you can keep that power, I told you I just had that basically sitting on there, so that's probably what was going on earlier. Anyway, if you can bring this power off of this transformer right here, away from that transformer, and even possibly, which I haven't tried yet, use an earth ground as opposed to, like right now I've got this high voltage side grounded to the frame here. But what I need to try is like with the Beckett oil burner igniter that has a midpoint ground on it, and I was able to actually use it, the earth as the ground. I need to take this same experiment outside and try it with an earth ground, and if what I think is going to happen, it's going to get just as good a results, and if not better. Which if it gets better results, then that means that this transformer right here will push that high voltage out using a completely secondary ground that's not attached to the system, which is not the actual core itself. Which if that's the case, that would be brilliant. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, even if it's been a little bit long. But at least for my haters out there, give me the benefit of the doubt and try these circuits out, pulsing some coils, and see if you agree with what I got to say. And if you have something you want to talk about or even disagree with what I got to say, join me on my radio show on Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, and we'll work things out. And jump in the chat room. Let me know you're trying to get a hold of me or whatever. It's SHAZIZZradio.com, and the best place to go is to the superchat.html, because there's like 4 separate chat rooms in there, and that's where I post the links to videos for videos that I'm talking about on the radio show, and other links to other researchers and stuff. There's a lot of good information on that website, and my buddy Stephen Gibbons also posted a page with a whole bunch of links to all kinds of different alternative energy researchers, their YouTube channels, their websites, all kinds of resources. And that button is right above the radio player on the website, the actual website on the superchat.html, and I'll also put that button on other places as well. But you can see right now that's running kind of intermittently. I think if I had a better AC capacitor on here, it'd be staying constant like that fan over there. But once I pull that off there, you see that it's running that bulb over there. So whatever the wattage is of that bulb, probably not to its fullest potential, but that's because we're basically just getting started on moving this energy where we want it to go. And the key is this transformer is not hot, that coil's not hot, and these transistors are not hot. None of them. And that means it's not drawing very much to do what it is that it's doing there. I think that we can do so much better with the energy if we use it in a slightly different manner. And as far as the plasma technology, if we use this, pull this energy off of this transformer using that high voltage, high frequency, this right here says it's a DC 12 volt to 220 volt AC low frequency transformer inverter driver board power module. That's what this board is listed on eBay. Well, even at this frequency, whatever this frequency is right here, at that high voltage right there, you've seen in the last video when I had the neon bulbs lit up that I talked about how those neon bulbs were hot. Well, we could take these, we could build some custom plasma reactor chambers that could not only transfer that heat into either heating up water or thermoelectrics. There's a lot of potential there. And if you're interested in doing some talking about it or some more research in it, like I said, contact me either on Skype or contact me on my website in the chat room there. There's 4 chat rooms. If you can't find me, you ain't looking hard enough, because I'm all over there. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And I'm putting all this information out to add more pieces to the puzzle to help everybody out to try to resolve the so-called energy crisis that we don't really have, that people are freaking out, whatever. And to get people energy independent. I believe we're right on the track. I know we got every single thing needed to resolve every single issue and make things that are so incredibly efficient. Come listen to some of my radio shows and hear me out. Just hear me out what I got to say. Before all the people start spewing off all the laws of physics and why it is that they think I'm wrong, just hear me out what I have to say. And that's all I ask. So with that said, peace and love, everybody. Take care.